Hi everyone, and welcome back to English for You. I'm Pat.
And I'm Kat.
And today we're on part 2 of our article about the door in the face technique.
That's right. So it's a technique that's kind of like persuading people, making them want to do something for you. And in this case, it's accepting an offer or taking a request. Yeah.
Now, the idea is you start by making an unreasonable offer that the other person will never accept. They'll go, no, of course.
Why would I do that?
Yeah, I'm not
not paying $800 for a magazine.
Yeah, I'm not cleaning the whole house before dinner in 30 minutes.
What? And then you make a more reasonable offer, like, okay, you can buy it for $240. You can just clean your room. Yeah.
And because of this, the other person is much more likely to agree.
However, if you made the reasonable offer first, they might not have agreed to it. They might think like, oh, well, I could still get better. Maybe I don't want that. But why does the door in the face technique work?
Yeah, and who came up with the idea and first kind of wrote about it and explained it? That's what we're going to look at in day 2 of this article, so let's read on.
All right.
Reading.
What is the door in the face technique and how can we use it? Professor Robert Cialdini was the first person to experiment with the door in the face technique. In 1975, Cialdini asked a group of participants to take some young prisoners to the zoo. This idea only appealed to 13% of the participants. Cialdini later used the door in the face technique. He found a second group of participants and asked them to tutor some prisoners for 2 years. Most refused. He then asked them to take the prisoners to the zoo instead. This time, 50% agreed to the zoo trip. So, why does this technique work so efficiently? One reason is that when someone does something for us, we feel we should do something in return. In the door in the face technique, we say no to the first request. So, when we're given a special offer, we want to give something back by saying yes. Another reason could be that we don't want to appear selfish. So, we're reluctant to refuse multiple requests when it seems we're being offered a reasonable deal. The door in the face technique is used in marketing, but it can be used in our daily lives too. Next time you need to negotiate something, think about putting it to use.
So our article starts out by talking about who came up with the door in the face technique, or who named it, I guess. Professor Robert Cialdini was the first person to experiment with the door in the face technique. So right away in this sentence, we learn about Professor Cialdini, but we also have today's language in focus. He was the first to try and use the technique. So let's learn about first and last in our language in focus today. So in our language in focus today, we're talking about the first noun to do something or the last noun to do something. We can use this in 2 ways. So we have 2 ways to talk about the first or last noun with an action. You could say to do and that who does or that who did, something like that. So we can use an example like Annie was the first student to finish the test. So Annie finished first. She was the first student to finish. You could also say Annie was the first student who finished the test. Now notice here we have to change the verb from finished to finished because we are using a relative pronoun who. With to finish, that's an infinitive verb, so you don't have to change it. Both ways are correct. It's just a little bit different sounding when you use one or the other. And here's another couple of examples that we can look at. I am usually the last person to go to bed. Or, I am usually the last person who goes to bed. So these are both ways where you can talk about the first or last person or thing to do something. And so with to, the verb never changes, and with that or who, it changes depending if it's past, present, or future.
So we talked about this, it was a professor, Robert
Professor Cialdini.
Well, he experimented with this technique. To experiment with something is to try something out, usually several times, and making slight changes to the way you do it each time to find out what works and what doesn't. It's quite a scientific way of doing something. You go, all right, let's try this. Okay, that's the result. Let's try it a slightly different way and see what the result is. You document everything. It's a little more fancy than just say we tried something.
Yes.
If you say we experimented with it, it's a little more systematic. You're kind of following a process and really thinking about what works and remembering what you tried before.
Exactly.
It's something that scientists would do a lot, which is why we call what they do experiments, which is, of course, the noun form of this verb. Here's another example. The artist experimented with several different kinds of paints before finding the right materials for her picture.
Right. So you can experiment with techniques like this, see how they work on people, and that's what he did. In 1975, Cialdini asked a group of participants to take some young prisoners to the zoo. He was asking probably students in his course or something like that.
Volunteers from the community maybe.
Yeah. He said, hey, there are these kids, probably, who are in prison and we want you to take them to the zoo. Would you want to do it?
Ooh, it doesn't sound. You'd probably say maybe not. No.
So he was asking participants. Participants are people who are involved in an activity or an event. In this case, they're the people who are doing an experiment or who the experiment is being done on. Like you're trying to see how this technique will affect them, how they will react to it, what they will choose to do. And prisoners are people in a prison.
That's right. A prisoner is just somebody who is currently in a prison.
Yep.
Okay, remember there's a slight difference between a prison and a jail.
Yeah.
Jail is where they'd normally go before and during the court case. Prison, more likely after when they're found guilty.
Yep.
So you might say prisoners are allowed to receive visitors at certain times of the day. One other thought about participants, it tends to mean somebody who has chosen to take part.
Yes, or chooses to if it's like an event.
Yeah, so I guess this Cialdini guy maybe asked and said, okay, I need 20 volunteers for something. Maybe he didn't tell them exactly what they were going to volunteer for. He just said, I'm doing a thought experiment. I need 30 people between the ages of, say, 18 and 40 or some other, students, again, like from his school.
Yeah, I did a research project for my master's degree and I had to get participants as well. And so there's a whole process. You have to ask people in a certain way. But apparently, nobody wanted to go to the zoo with prisoners. This idea only appealed to 13% of the participants. 13%.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
Pretty low. Almost single digits. So it only appealed to that many people. We're going to learn here what is the meaning of appeal. Let's check it out. Something that appeals to you is something that you like. So if something appeals to people, it means that thing is liked by people or it's attractive to them. Now, you can also use appeal as a noun. Something has appeal. That means it has a quality that people like. So you could say an idea that has a lot of appeal is an idea that people like a lot. Or you can also say that idea appeals to me. I like it. I'm interested in it. I want to learn more about it. So appeal means it's interesting, it's attractive, and something you like. For an example sentence, you could say, this restaurant's menu doesn't appeal to me. Let's go somewhere else. In other words, I don't like this restaurant's menu. It doesn't appeal to me.
So our man Cialdini, he asked these participants, say, just to make it easy, 100 people, and he said, guys, I want you to take some young prisoners to the zoo. And out of that 100, only 13 said, yeah, okay, I'll do that. The other 87 were like, no, thanks. But then we see Cialdini later used the door in the face technique.
That's right.
It's a different group for this one then. That's why we say later. He didn't talk to the same group of people again.
Yeah, it wouldn't work.
Yes, because they already know what the end game is.
Yes. So he found a second group of participants and asked them to tutor some prisoners for 2 years. Tutoring is more work than the zoo, I will tell you that. As we've both tutored people, and we've both been tutors, you know, it's also a noun. To tutor means to teach a single student or a very small group of students. And you can also say that a tutor is a person who does tutoring. So they teach small groups of students. They teach a single student. If you ever had a teacher who only teaches you, that's your tutor. So an example sentence, you could say, I want to find someone to tutor my daughter in English.
Yeah. Often a tutor might only specialize in 1 or 2 subjects.
That's right.
And teach those. In the old days, they were maybe the word was used a bit more interchangeably with teachers.
Well, because they didn't used to have public school with big classes.
Right.
Rich kids just had a tutor for everything.
Yep, they would just come to their home and do all the teaching there. So he got this second group and said, okay, guys, you know, again, 100 people. Would you like to teach these young prisoners for 2 years?
Yeah.
And the article says, most refused.
No.
Right. I mean, for one thing, it's a 2-year commitment.
Yeah.
That is big.
And are they getting paid? Probably not.
Well, that's no wonder that they refused. To refuse is to reject something, to say no, to just go, no, that's not working for me. Isn't going to happen. For example, Maurice refused to go on a date with me for the 3rd time. I'm never going to ask her again. Well, perhaps maybe one more time.
I think you should just let it go.
Oh, okay.
If she said no 3 times, she probably means it.
She refused me, yep.
Especially if she laughed at you.
She did.
Anyway, let's go back to the article. Cialdini then asked them to take the prisoners to the zoo instead. He's like, okay. You don't want to tutor them for 2 years. I understand. That's a lot of work. It's a long time. You want to just take them to the zoo?
So we had the unreasonable offer and now the reasonable offer. And did it work? The article says this time 50% agreed to the zoo trip.
Wow.
It's like half the people.
That's a lot more.
Yeah, that's like a 400% increase or something like that.
Yeah. So why does this technique work so efficiently?
Good question.
It is a good question, but before we can answer it, we have to learn what is efficiently. Efficiently, as you can tell by that "ly" at the end, is an adverb from the adjective efficient. Efficient means you're able to get good results without taking too many materials, too much time, taking too much energy. In other words, you have a strong effect, but not a lot of effort. So efficiency is how a lot of people like to work. You know, if you're lazy, you're more likely to be efficient. You come up with something that works very quickly and easily, and then you just go on with the next thing. So for an example sentence, you could say Winston works very efficiently, so he can get all of his homework done in a short amount of time.
Yeah, he just doesn't waste any time going, oh, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
Or he just goes, okay, bam, 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 this is all done.
Exactly.
So why does the door in the face technique work so efficiently? Why does it work so well and you only have to do 2 simple things? Unreasonable offer, reasonable one.
Yeah.
Well, the article says one reason is that when someone does something for us, we feel we should do something in return. Okay, that makes some sense, but let's learn a little bit more about what we mean here by examining the phrase in return. In return means as a response to something else. The first thing has already been it's already happened, it's already been done, and you do something because of that first thing. You either do it back or you do a further thing down some kind of chain. We could also say in reply, because generally in return means back to the person who did the first thing. Think of a simple trade of snacks. Hey, I'll give you some of my chips and you give me a piece of your chocolate bar in return. So it's kind of sharing. One person does something, the other person does something back. There's a certain amount of balance going on there.
All right, so yeah, why does it work so efficiently? Well, in the door in the face technique, we say no to the first request, right?
As we would. It's unreasonable.
It's not reasonable.
So, when we're given a special offer, this discount or the let's do something nice or this is a lot more reasonable.
We're like, okay, I'll cut you a deal because you're nice, because you're my friend, because I like you.
Yep.
And then
we want to give something back by saying yes. So we feel, oh, that person did something nice for me by giving me a better deal or a better offer. I want to say yes back in return. That's how, that's how reasonable people work in society. You do something nice for me, I'll do something nice for you by agreeing.
Exactly. Another reason could be that we don't want to appear selfish. I think this is kind of related to the first reason.
It certainly is.
Yeah. So being selfish means you only think about yourself. You don't help other people. You don't care what other people think. You don't care about their feelings. You don't want to look selfish. Most people don't want to look selfish. So they're like, oh, I should just do this thing for that person and then, I won't feel so bad.
And so the article says, so we're reluctant to refuse or reject multiple requests when it seems we're being offered a reasonable deal. Like, oh, okay, he made a nice deal for me. He cut it down. $240 for that magazine. Oh, if I say no now, I'm the bad guy. Yeah, I feel reluctant. If you are reluctant, then you are unwilling. You feel like you don't want to do something. Either you think it won't work, it's going to be dangerous, you'll get embarrassed, or you'll look bad to other people. You think, I really don't want to do that.
Yeah, or you just don't want to do it because it's too much work. Like a lot of kids are reluctant to clean their rooms, but they'll do it. It's just kind of, okay, fine, I'll do it.
Man.
Jeez. But anyway, they're reluctant to say no to multiple requests. If somebody asks you something more than one time, they're doing it multiple times. Multiple means more than one. It's basically the same as many or numerous. And it comes with the word multiply. When you go 2 times 2 or 2 times 3 is 6, something like that. That's multiplying. And it's making it many. And you want to,
You don't want to reject. Yeah, you want to go, okay, they've offered me something, I will say yes.
Yeah, so offer here is used as a verb instead of a noun. You're being offered something, you're getting an offer.
That's right. So the article says the door in the face technique is used in marketing. Okay, that makes complete sense.
Yes.
Of course it would be used in here's this expensive thing, but it's on sale, that kind of stuff.
No, they do that all the time.
But, as the article says, it can be used in our daily lives too.
Right.
Yeah. We can do that. Like we've seen with the example about cleaning the room.
Yep. I've seen kids use it on their parents.
Oh, wow.
To get them to do something that they want. So next time you need to negotiate something, think about putting it to use. Maybe it could work. So when you need to negotiate, this is a good technique to help you do that. To negotiate means to discuss something in order to reach an agreement. Maybe you're thinking, I want to pay $100 for this thing. This guy wants to sell it for $400. Okay, well, I'll pay you $150. No, you'll pay me $300. No, I'll pay you $175. No, you'll pay me $250. Okay, we'll reach it at $225. Okay, that's negotiating. It's also called haggling.
Yeah, any kind of negotiation, which is the noun, is where two sides both want something and they're kind of deciding, okay, how much of what I really want will I get and how much am I willing to go, okay, I can't get everything I want. I'll give you this, you give me this.
Agreement.
Yeah, kind of, maybe it's one that neither side is 100% happy with, but they will both accept what's been agreed on.
Yes.
So if you're trying to do something like that and negotiate, put the door in the face technique to use. If you put something to use, then you try something using a particular skill or technique or idea, something that you're already familiar with. Perhaps you've had some kind of training, you've got some skills and you go, aha, now I can finally put these skills to use, okay? Kat is an artist amongst her other talents.
Yes.
When she first started working here, she did writing for us.
Yeah.
But eventually, she started to do drawing for us.
Yes, I did. And I haven't done it lately, but I would like to.
Yeah, so she is putting her artistic skills to use. We can also say put something to good use if you're kind of getting a fulfilling, a rewarding experience by using these skills, if you're achieving a particularly good goal and you feel nice about how you did it.
So yeah, it's a very good technique to put to use if you need to convince somebody to do something.
Okay, and that is the end of this article. So let's go now to our For You Chat question.
For You Chat.
All right, so our For You Chat question today is, what kinds of marketing techniques do you see on TV or in stores?
Okay.
Lots of different ones.
Yeah, one that's pretty common is that one where something is always like something 9 instead of the full price. Like,
Yeah, in the US, they do this a lot.
It's all over the world. You see something like, okay, this chocolate bar, they don't say it's 40, they say it's 39. You think, that's 30, that's less than 40.
Yeah.
Or even though it's $1 different, it somehow seems cheaper to us. You know, this is $99.99.
Yeah.
That's less than $100.
Except with sales tax, it won't be.
Yeah, you've got that tricky thing. But yeah, you see a lot of prices with 9s on the end because they make us think they're lower than they really are. So that's
true.
one very common pricing technique.
Yeah, I often think of how in TV ads and sometimes on websites and stores, you'll see something that makes you think you have very little time. Like they say, buy now because this is only good for today. Tomorrow the price is going to go back to normal.
Yep.
Or there's a timer on the website that's like, you have 12 hours to make this purchase.
Wow.
You have don't wait, buy now. Call this number, that sort of thing.
Yeah, fear of missing out, I guess, is something
FOMO,
that affects people, and then there's other things like a little more general where they present you, here is a problem. This thing, our thing, can solve this problem and make your life easier.
Even if it's not a problem you have.
Yeah, do you want to buy it? Solve this problem that you might not even know you have.
Exactly.
Yeah, that certainly is used quite a lot as well. There are lots and lots more. Take a marketing course. You will learn all of them and more.
And then you will learn like how they're trying to trick you or how they're trying to get you to do things, and you'll get to decide for yourself more of what you want to buy or not buy.
Yeah, it's good to be aware of what companies are trying to do.
Media literacy.
But that's all the time we've got for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. For English for You, I'm Pat.
And I'm Kat.
Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Vocabulary Review. Experiment. The cook is experimenting with new dishes by combining Asian and European foods. Prisoner. The prisoner was kept in a tiny room with bars on the windows and a simple bed and toilet. Appeal. Lots of people enjoy Italian food, but it doesn't appeal very much to me. Tutor. Tutor. Billy's dad paid for a private teacher to tutor him in math, which helped improve his grades. Refuse. Noah refused to go to bed, so his mom got angry with him. Efficiently. Removing old files from your computer will help it run more efficiently.
智慧小补帖
Participant. Participant. Reluctant. Multiple. Negotiate.
以上节目是由活用空中美语制作。活用空中美语杂志，请洽询全国各大书店。如欲索取试听教材，请来电02-2364-4000 02-2364-4000，或上网查询，网址是 www.english4u.net www.english4u.net